bring in David Cole, the auto industry, part of his family's lineage. His father was the former president of GM. Dr. Cole is chairman of AutoHarvest and chairman emeritus of the Center for Automotive Research. He joins us now from the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. Dr. Cole, welcome to Bottom Line. Thanks for joining us.
Well, good to be with you, Mark.
Sir, my colleague Suzanne O'Halloran just went through the numbers last month. Chrysler sales up 27%, GM 20%, Ford a 9% jump, and the rise due largely because consumers bought more pickups and SUVs. What does the purchase of the bigger vehicles tell you about consumer sentiment and about business sentiment? A lot of small businesses use pickups and SUVs.
Well, that's very true. You have a lot of commercial type of customers, and it just means that maybe the old products had too many miles on them and it was time to buy new. But you have to remember in the context of this that we are still at a depression level of sales in the industry. We're still about 2 million below what we would normally have thought as a recession. The big news, and of course you see this with the domestic three and picking up sales, that they have a break-even point that's around 10.5 million units. Yeah. So they have become almost instantly very profitable companies. Now, how this is going to play out, it's going to depend on, the recovery from the earthquake and tsunami. It's going to depend on consumer optimism or lack thereof. But the industry has a foundation of profitability that, frankly, surprises people like myself that have watched the industry.
Dr. Cole, what role do falling gas prices and sales promotions play in this? If the economic numbers we've been seeing are any indication, this should be a bad time to purchase a big-ticket item.
I think that's probably true. I think what we have learned from a consumer perspective is don't think that cheap gas or expensive gas is going to stay forever. What we see is increased volatility. If you look at 2008, that was a perfect example where we had over $4 in the summertime, and before the first of the year, gasoline was at $1.50. So continued volatility is important. We are scrapping more vehicles than we actually sell. And one of the huge factors, I think, in the recovery of the market is that used car prices are up considerably. So that compresses the difference between the new car and the used car. And for the domestic three and some others too, we're seeing more retail sales, which are generally more profitable than the fleet sales.
Yeah, you were just talking about what happened in Japan this spring. Honda and Toyota, they've been short of small cars because of part shortages due to the March earthquake and tsunami in Japan. And September was the first month since the tragedy. Both automakers' plants were running at full capacity. Are Honda and Toyota's dealer lots replenished to the point where sales of American cars are now being affected?
No, not yet. I think they're going to be short of inventory for some time. But another thing that is a very powerful force in the market is the problem that Toyota had several years ago with the unintended acceleration. And what that did is essentially destroyed the halo of perceived higher Japanese quality. Now, all of the products in the marketplace today have really just superb quality. You look at the data, and the differences are really not that significant. But there was a lingering perception, and that lingering perception has certainly favored the domestics in terms of people shopping a broader portfolio of products.
Yeah. Are today's numbers then an aberration, given everything that we've been talking about?
No, I don't think so. I think, well, of course, things were pretty tough a year ago and 2 years ago. We've come from a very low base. But I think we're going to continue to see growth in the market, maybe not quite as strong as we saw with the Chrysler and GM sales this year. But keep in mind that we are still in a depression level of sales in the industry. And another aspect, and it was brought out in the prior comments, in terms of the economic recovery, the auto industry is adding jobs, and the economic multiplier now for an auto manufacturer is about 10, which means for every job that is added by a manufacturer, and that's a GM, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, whoever, that means 9 other jobs will appear in the economy. And that's really very positive news for the economy as we see manufacturing and autos beginning to tick up, even though it's still fairly modest.
Dr. David Cole, chairman of AutoHarvest, chairman emeritus of the Center for Automotive Research, joining us from Ann Arbor. Dr. Cole, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks so much for your time.